That's my dog. I want to talk about discussion boards. I want to provide just a little bit of background. Now, I know that for some students, discussion boards can be a pain. I know that you do them begrudgingly because you need the points. But I believe that we can actually make them valuable. And so let me use a concept from the course to talk about them. Last week I introduced that concept of mythos, that there's these narratives that exist in the culture. And that's true for higher education. And so, for example, there is this cultural myth or cultural narrative that exists about higher ed that says that public education in higher ed is a public good. That is, that it's important because it gives us an informed citizenry and that we're a better country with a more informed citizenry. So there's this like abstract thinking. It's almost the liberal arts approach to higher education. And then there's another cultural narrative that exists, and that one says that higher ed equals better job. Higher ed equals upward mobility. And it's a different narrative for sure than that first one. And that's an important narrative to consider as well, because from that perspective, we can think about the course, right? We can think about the syllabus of the course, and we can think that this course is a skill-based course, that it gives you some writing skills and it sharpens some critical thinking skills that are going to help you in the workforce. And that stuff is all good. But we can also take a step back from that, and we can think about that first narrative. And if we think about that first narrative, we can think about looking at this course from a broader perspective. And we can start to think not just about the skills, but we can think about why we even learned these skills. We can think about where these skills originated. We can think about how these skills are connected to issues of power. We can think about how we can apply these specific skills to our everyday lives. And that's a different sort of conversation. And that's the sort of conversation that I want to have in the discussion boards. I want to invite you to at least play with some of these bigger questions, with questions that there aren't easy answers to, right? Just to kind of sit on some of these big ideas. And so that's what we'll look to do. Now, specifically, here's the way of thinking about the discussion boards. Sorry. Each reply that you give is worth a half point. So if you join a discussion and you reply twice, then you get a full point for that week's discussion. If you join 10 discussions, you get 10 points and you're good, right? I have the requirement as 10 points. Of course, I invite you to join other discussions. Right? And so there is this embedded extra credit. Now, for each reply, I expect that it will be substantive. And by substantive, I mean that you'll have at least 4 to 5 sentences, that you'll be bringing in evidence, and that you'll be providing some clear reasoning. I don't want just quick responses or I agree or anything like that. And then finally, I want to remind you that the real point of these discussions isn't really points at all, right? The real point is just to give you the opportunity to play with some of those bigger questions, such that you can have an understanding that may apply to your real life rather than just to finishing that class, that you can finish that degree. Hope this helps. Take care.